is Maximus Decimus Meridius.
I am your father.
You like Huey Lewis on the news?
Yes. And you're not sure about this, are you?
You're gonna die, clown!
What's the most you ever lost on a coin toss?
Sir?
The most you ever lost on a coin toss. Call it.
Whose motorcycle is this?
It's a chopper, baby.
Whose chopper is this?
Zed's.
Who's Zed?
Zed's dead, baby.
Bring out today!
This is a tasty burger.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Louis, I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship. Wait a minute. You ain't heard nothing yet.
Welcome to the fucking show.
Hello, welcome back to See What Sticks, a podcast about everything and nothing. I'm Russell.
And I'm Ben.
And we're back for another week. Ben, I don't know if you watched the videos or not, but I uploaded 2 videos to the YouTube channel that I actually went and fulfilled a promise that I did.
I think I got through half of the first one before, like, one of my kids needed attention.
Exactly.
But I will finish that and get with the second one as well.
Yeah, the first one, for those of you who don't know, Ben, also I don't expect you to watch the videos on a channel that you're part of. So that'd be like me listening. That'd be like us listening to this podcast on our free time. That'd be very strange.
I feel like I wouldn't be a proper participant in this podcast if I didn't know what was up with our video, video portion of this franchise. Yeah,
okay, I see what you're saying on that end. But I thought you were gonna say something along the lines of, I didn't think I would be a good host for the show if I didn't listen to my own podcast. And to that I will answer, I have listened to this show before. For people who are wondering, because I've been asked this question, do I listen to the show? I only listen to the show if I think I messed something up or if I need to improve upon something. So maybe every 15 episodes or maybe every 10 episodes, I'll listen to one. And then I'll be like, what can I do better next time? Or what can I change? Yeah.
Right. Like, we've already there's been episodes where we've spent like 2 hours talking about bullshit. Like, it would be unreasonable for us to go back and listen to the same thing we just talked about and spend another 2 hours.
Yeah, 100%. So that's the only time I'll ever listen to it. And I don't listen or watch my own videos. And for those of you out there, I have my own other channel where I publish like my own like short films and stuff. I don't really watch those either. If I made it, I don't watch it myself. And I think that's probably pretty standard fare for most people.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what has been happening for the last, when did we record? Oh, the only thing that like super eventful happened, I went on that trip, which is the YouTube video. I went to New York, guys, and I'm back. I had my meeting, and I'll tell you what happened. It was a job meeting type thing, and it didn't go exactly the way I wanted it to. So I will tell you all, because I didn't really say it in the video, because I was kind of saving that part for the podcast for those of you who watch the videos and listen to the podcast or are finding us on one way or the other. Hello, welcome. So it was a studio manager position in Brooklyn, New York. And the position itself seemed really cool. It's just there's a few other things that didn't seem great about it. And that's nothing wrong with the company. It just didn't fit what I wanted from the position. And it just wasn't a perfect match. So so that's how that went. But in general, it went really well. The trip was super cool. If you guys have seen the video, that's pretty much my entire trip. We did get Hurricane Michael, though, so that was kind of a thing on Thursday. It was very, very windy and rainy. But other than that, New York is beautiful and really fun. But yeah, Ben, what's our topic? What are we talking about?
I believe we were going to discuss Purdue University related affairs.
Oh, yeah, we are. So, Ben, let's kick it off. I have some notes, but as you can tell, I'm super prepared. I actually have them written on, like, Post-it notes. So, because I didn't want to do them on my phone, I've been doing a bunch of other stuff, so I just wrote them on Post-it notes. So, let's get into it. Uh-oh. I think...
Did you have, like, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, Ben was paused. What's up?
Oh, I was going to ask, like, did you have, like, an overall sort of kicker for, like, Purdue? Like, was there something, like, grinding your gears that you wanted to talk about with the university?
Yeah. Are we going to air grievances on this podcast? Is this how I'm going to get all of my Purdue grievances off my chest? In general, let me start off, and then, Ben, you can kick into, like, the first topic, whatever that may be. In general, before we start this conversation, I love Purdue University. I'm proud to say I'm a Boilermaker. I usually am wearing a Purdue shirt because I usually record this after I go to the gym, and all my gym shirts are Purdue related just because they are. But right now I am not. But I am proud to say that I went to Purdue University, and I will say that before this and boiler up. Okay. So, Ben, let's kick it off.
Okay. My first... Well, yeah, I'm just going to straight up go with a grievance here. I don't know if you've noticed if you've kept up with pictures or social media, this was, like, not a thing last year, but or at least I don't believe it was a thing last year, but they have these bird company, like, Razor scooters. They're, like, electric Razor scooters. These things are an absolute fucking nuisance. Okay. So. They, like, people, and I believe most of the problem is people just, like, thinking that they own the sidewalks. Mm-hmm. And just trying to, like, and not knowing how to properly ride one, so they just kind of, like, almost hit people nonstop. Mm-hmm. But also, they're just everywhere. They're an eyesore. People just leave them laying around in the sidewalk, like, piled up, and it's just, get these things, like, out of here. We already have enough problem with longboarders and bicyclists. Okay, so I saw from a few Instagram posts that Purdue had gotten the bird scooters. So last year in LA, they had them. They also, I think, have them in New York. I never saw them. I just used a city bike, which is, I guess, a thing of the past now. How are the scooters? In LA, they were pretty cool because people just had them on Santa Monica Pier and, like, along the Venice Boardwalk. And it was just an easy way for people to get back and forth. I mean, I have a longboard, so I guess I'm part of the problem. But, and I mean that in the best way possible because I totally know the issue and I know that I'm part of it, where you weave in between cars, you go in traffic. You are the worst kind of person. And that is just the nature of being on a longboard or on a skateboard when there's a pedestrian type thing going on. I totally know that. So, yeah, the bird thing. Purdue got those this year just out of nowhere, or was that? I think so. Yeah, like, and I haven't seen, because, like, last year they had the bicycles, mm-hmm. and those are gone, I believe. Oh, they might still be there, or maybe it's just like the bird scooters have completely taken over the visual landscape of the campus. But yeah, it's just like people just don't know how to be courteous when they ride them. Yeah, like I've almost been hit several times. It's almost like a several times per week thing. Mm-hmm. And I make sure that I look where the hell I'm going when I'm kind of in mm-hmm. one of those bicycle lanes on the sidewalks, because it's just like, some people are not going to pay attention. You need to be a defensive walker, mm-hmm. I guess you could say. But these motherfuckers on these scooters, it's like they got their own agenda to try and take people out. Yeah, so I find that interesting. You said something in there that was people are just inconsiderate, and I think that is hitting on a big thing that is one of my grievances with Purdue, is students and inconsiderate. Those two terms, or inconsideratality, or inconsiderateness. This shows, yeah, guys, I graduated from a Big Ten university, and I don't know how to conjugate the word inconsiderate properly. So, I think that's a big thing that you hit on. That was one of the things that I had an issue with the most. So, for those of you who didn't go to Purdue University listening to this, which I'm going to guess is most all of you,
maybe a few of you, and hello. So one of the big things is Purdue is a Big Ten school. It is a big state school. So big sprawling campus. All the buildings kind of look alike. They're big red brick buildings, except maybe a few here and there. And there's a lot of alleyways between the buildings on campus. So this means there's a lot of foot traffic and bike traffic. I'm from a city. I understand people being inconsiderate and considerate on the sidewalk, but I have never encountered as much inconsiderate walkers and people who are just oblivious doing things that like I have at Purdue. And when you go around someone, there was a time I was walking from where the bars are at Purdue, which is near the southern end of campus. And that's where I parked my car. I didn't go drinking before class. I had parked my car near the bars because there's free parking over there. And I was walking to the liberal arts building, which is the biggest building on campus, just volume-wise or land mass-wise.
Is it really?
Beering, yeah, it's the physical biggest building.
Huh.
It has its own area code.
I figured like an engineering building would have been bigger.
No, I think like square footage and how big the building is, because the basement that we see is only one of them. There's like 4 basements full of stuff. I didn't even know that. That and the Stewart Center are the 2 biggest buildings on campus, which are both liberal arts buildings, which is weird for an engineering school, right? Like the 2 biggest things are liberal arts. I think it's just because they had a lot of money come in when they built those. But so I was walking. It wasn't a very far walk from, let's say, Harry's to Beering. Maybe it's 500, maybe 1,000 yards. Maybe a little more. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know my conversions here. But let's say it's a quarter of a mile.
Yeah, that quarter mile sounds about right.
Let's say it's a quarter of a mile. And at this time, it was near when I was graduating, so it was warm out, and it was in the spring. So let's say it was April. I was walking to class, and there's these people at Purdue University who are religious preachers. And I don't know if all colleges are allowed to have these on their campus. Maybe it's just public state schools, but they have very, very aggressive anti-abortion and very pro-life things, and they have very graphic imagery of aborted fetuses and things like that. So, I mean, if that's your thing, totally go for it. I'm not going to be the person to be like, you're wrong for doing that or wrong for not doing it. I'm not. This guy got in my face.
That'll be me. I'll tell you you're fucking wrong.
Okay. On this podcast, I will do the same thing. Usually in person, I won't until this happened. So I was trying to get to a class. It was near the end of the semester, so the classes started actually becoming important. I didn't say that out loud, but they actually started becoming, the classes were like, oh man, I need to actually go to class today. This guy actually got in front of me, and I don't care what you're trying to push on me or what your agenda is. Don't stand in front of someone when they're walking. So, and he was a very pro-life person, and he's like, well, what is your stance on abortion? Personally, I mean, it's up to each person. You do what you want. But to him, I was pissed. He was about to make me late to a very important class where I had a film to get done. So I told him this, and if people get triggered out there, warning, this is about to make some of you very upset. I told him this. I said, I don't remember the exact scenario, but I was like, have you ever gotten a tattoo? He said, no. I'm like, do you like tattoos or do you not like tattoos? He's like, I'm indifferent about it. So I said, don't knock it till you try it. And I'm like, the same can be said for abortion. And I walked away, and he was actually left speechless. Now, I'm not usually that big of a dick, but I had to go to that place to get this person just away from me. And there's a lot of that I have found at Purdue. And it's not the school's fault. It's student body and people just feeling as if they can get in your face. And if you do that, I will give you a very cutting, mean remark. So that is my story about people being inconsiderate about walking space. Also, there's a lot of students who are just on their phones and just walk 30 miles an hour less than everyone else. And you have to go through them. It's like, okay, everyone, streets and sidewalks are similar. Go to the right or go to the left. There's a difference in speed there. It's okay.
I haven't personally experienced like one of those fire brimstone abortion folks like get in front of me or
Mm-hmm.
like get in my face about it. Like pretty much the only like kind of kookiness that I've experienced is there's a particular person that I've not seen him this year, but he was a kind of a lanky, long-haired dude. I think he was doing his best to like legitimately try and look like Jesus.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
And
But
the learning center
mm-hmm.
on a bench, and he would just be like, you're all going to hell. You're all going to hell. Like, this and that. Women are whores. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And the worst part is just people give him attention.
That's the thing.
And that's what he craves.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, these are like religious. I don't want to use the word fanatics, but I'm going to use the word fanatics. These are religious fanatic type people who are from certain denominations of Christianity who believe that if you go and harass people in a public setting, you will get them to convert or something. And they just need to spit their image at you. And Purdue has quite a lot of these. And Purdue has a lot of big, open, grassy spaces where a lot of students go through. So these people convene in these spots and will have like picket signs. That's a real thing. So this is what Ben is talking about as well. People actually stop and listen. That's what they want. Even if, like, I saw one of those guys get hit with an egg, and I was like, yes. I'm not pro people beating up people in public, but if you're going to tell me that if a woman has sex before marriage, she's going to hell, or you're going to tell me this, that, or the other, whatever. I've gotten comments from people at Purdue. I have a shirt that I wore on campus quite often. Not quite often. Maybe, I don't know, how often do you go through a rotation of shirts if you're going to do it? Maybe every 20 days. Maybe, once a month, maybe. I have a shirt. It's a black shirt with white lettering and black lettering. It's like prison bars, kind of, but they're offset. And it says, fuck racism, fuck racism, fuck racism, fuck racism. And I wore it under a hoodie, but I had it just normal t-shirt. And I'm on a college campus, so I'm not going to see any little kids. And if I knew that there's going to be kids around, I had it zipped up. But I got comments about that, and it's one of those, I'm not going to comment on your shirt. How about you don't comment on mine? I'm also not spreading hate. That's one of my biggest issues that I had at Purdue, that I felt kind of, I hate to use the word attacked, but very attacked by a lot of these people who set up these billboards. I'm not going to set up my own billboard telling you what I believe, because here's the thing. If you tell people what you believe, 100% of the time, 50% of people will disagree with you. So why are you putting yourself in that position? But yeah.
Yep. And for many of these people, like, you can't have a conversation with them.
Yep.
You can't, there's not going to be convincing them that, possibly their point of view has some flaws to it.
Yeah.
It's just that there's, you can't do it with a lot of those folks. So it's just, what's the point of even trying? You just basically either got to say like, or ignore them, or if, I guess in my situation, like, if had some guy like got in my face like, what's your stance on abortion? I probably would have just simply told him to fuck off and then walk by.
It took a lot for me to not actually, I was going to put my hand on his shoulder and scoot him out of the way. And it took a lot for me to not do that, because these are the same kind of people that if you touch them, they're going to start screaming. And as much as it's not an aggressive thing, not like shoving, it's like, excuse me, move. He would like start screaming. So I had to tell him probably the most offensive thing I could muster up within 5 seconds. And it worked. But I mean, I don't recommend that approach to whatever you're doing. Please don't do that. You did not hear this from me. But if you want to give that line a try, I will repeat to you what line I said. So if you see one of these people and you want to be a real asshole, here's the line. So if someone asks you, what is your stance on blank? Your response is, have you ever tried, let's say, figure skating? And they say no. And you're like, do you like it or not? And they say, I have no opinion on it. And you're like, well, the same can be said for abortion. Don't knock it till you try it. So that was my line to him, and it worked very successfully. Now, do not use that line. I'm not recommending this. Do not do that. Do not do that. But if you do, it does work. Okay. So that was my PSA for today on what line I used. And feel free to get into fights with people in public with that one. Ben, have you ever been to the bars at Purdue?
Just a few of them. Of course, I've been to Harry's, which is like it's the bar that Purdue is known for.
Yeah.
For people that don't know, Harry's Chocolate Shop, back in the Prohibition era, was a speakeasy, a place where people could go to secretly get booze and get drunk, but it was under the guise of being a, quote, chocolate shop, hence the name, Harry's Chocolate Shop.
Yep.
So it's quite an old bar. You'll see T-shirts like all over campus. Sometimes T-shirts nationwide. My aunt, who is a professor at Arizona State, says that she has seen a Harry's Chocolate Shop shirt on campus from one of her students, and she was like, "I've been there," and blah blah blah. But yeah, so I've been to Harry's before it got recently tore down. Where else? And Brothers.
Yeah,
I think are the three that I've been to. And I can proudly say I've been kicked out of Harry's.
Yeah, I've been kicked out of a bar. I told that story last time when I puked
Yes.
at the bar. I did get kicked out. Not at Purdue, but I did get kicked out of a bar. But so yeah. So let's talk about the Purdue bars. Some people love them, some people hate them. Ben, if you had to describe, have you ever been to the Cactus? We will explain what this is in a second.
I've actually not been to the Cactus before.
I went once, and that's the end of that sentence. There's a reason I went once. Also, Ben, I love your tattoo. I know this is bad radio. We've talked about this. Ben has a Simpsons bad guys from the Simpsons sleeve or half sleeve from his wrist to his elbow, and it looks super cool. And he just was flexing on me with it. So
I was scratching my back,
yeah,
because I'm holding my phone in one hand. But we'll get a picture of it and post it on one of the social media.
Yeah, let's do it. We should. So, Ben, if you had to describe, we're going to get into the Cactus in a second. If you had to describe the Purdue bars in, let's say, 3 words or under, how would you describe them?
Cramped.
No, okay, that's a good one. I was going to say shit show.
I'm particularly thinking of. I like Harry's, I really do, but it's just like if you go there on a busy night, good effing luck. Yes.
So I think maybe I told this story when you were on. Maybe I didn't. So one of the last times I went to Harry's was for Emma's birthday. And it was Mom's weekend for the frats and sororities. And we're going to get into the frats and sororities in a little bit. But it was Mom's weekend. And so there's hella moms looking to hang. And you can interpret that whatever way you want. There's a lot of moms. And maybe if you went to Purdue, it was different then. But right now, in 2018 and 2017, Mom's Weekend means that some mom may try to kiss you. I know this.
I need to get back to Mom's Weekend.
Yeah, I know this because I went to Mom's Weekend with my buddy Sean, who's been on the podcast, who did not go to Purdue, who came down for Emma's birthday, Emma, Adam, who's been on the podcast, and Adam's 2 roommates. We had a bet for Adam's roommate to hook up with a mom. This happened. He bought her drinks, and then he turned around to us at Harry's and said, "We need to get out of here now." I don't know what happened between the buying drinks, taking the shots, and him turning around, but I can only assume the mom's child showed up and probably knew him. So, that's the thing about Mom's Weekend. So, yeah, also if you want to go to the Purdue bars, any of you out there, go during senior week or go during like graduation weekend because no one's there. Seriously.
Yeah,
they're
absolutely
empty.
The worst possible time to go is the night or day of any sort of Purdue athletics or major Purdue athletics game, like football, basketball. Don't even, unless you're there like in the morning and plan to stay all day, it's not worth it.
So,
but that's coming from me that I've never been one to be a part of the bar scene.
Yes,
I've always been I'd rather just go get a sixer, sit at home. Maybe that's just being antisocial, but yeah, it's just paying overcharging or whatever the term for booze just doesn't sit well with me.
I'm also not a big drinker, but also I don't like confined spaces. Saying that, I did Lollapalooza like 8 years in a row, and that's like 100 million people in the same spot. But I don't know, for some reason that doesn't bug me, but being in a room or in a building where it's that cramped does bother me. I don't know, maybe it's because I'm in a field and there's that many people. It doesn't get to me. Whatever. So, Ben, what is the Purdue tradition of dressing up in a costume?
Oh, Breakfast Club.
Yeah, do you want to explain what Breakfast Club is to people?
I'll do it to the best of my ability. Breakfast Club for like, well, I should ask, did they do it? It's a football season, right?
It is. They do it for football. All of football season, they do it for Grand Prix. And we'll explain what Grand Prix is.
Okay. Yeah, so Breakfast Club is people dress up in basically any costume you can think of.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go to bars in the middle of the morning and get hammered.
Yes. So, Ben is right. You heard that correctly. At Purdue, it's like drunk frat Comic-Con for football games and this thing called Grand Prix, which we'll explain. I'm pretty sure most of you know what a football game is. If you're not listening to the United States, if you're listening to another country, American football, not soccer. Even though Purdue does have a soccer team, they do not get wasted for soccer. So for football, it would be Saturday mornings usually. What would happen is the bars open up at 5 a.m. I'm not kidding. I did Breakfast Club once. I only did it once because I ruined my day. So you wake up and not everyone shows up in costume, but probably 90% of people. And it's kind of either a thrown together costume or the Halloween costume from last year. And usually you go in a group. I was George Michael Bluth, and the group I went with, we were all from Arrested Development. We thought it was funny at the time, and someone we went with was the Banana Stand. We thought it was really funny. It was just a banana suit it was actually my banana suit, and then we put the sign on the front. So they were the Banana Stand. So that's what you do, and you go to a place called the Neon Cactus, which is an old converted warehouse that got turned into a really shitty bar. They like to call it a nightclub, but it's not.
Well, it actually used to be. Yeah, it was a warehouse that got converted into a bar. It used to be an old country western bar that my grandparents went to.
Really?
Yeah, like square dancing type, because that's why it's called the Neon Cactus.
Oh.
My grandparents would go there like Saturday nights or Friday nights or something, and then they would just go square dance. Like my grandpa had his cowboy hat, big ass belt buckle on. Yeah, it used to be like an old people place, but then somewhere along the line, I think they kind of decided that we need to get in on this college student business.
Okay. And then that's where the appeal of the cactus comes in, is with something called a cactus cup. It's what size are those cups? There's a term for what those are.
I don't believe I'm familiar, since I have not been to the cactus before. I'm not familiar with the cactus cup.
You know, for those of you listening, you know, like Oktoberfest, when you think of Oktoberfest and those big glass jars of beer.
Like the Steins?
Yeah, it's like a Stein. So there's plastic ones they give out the Neon Cactus for like $1. So you have to buy them. They're $1 refills on Thursday nights and on Breakfast Club. And that is anything.
Oh, hot damn.
That is why people go. So you can get essentially like a gallon of liquor for like $2. That's why people go. That is the appeal of the Neon Cactus, is it's essentially free alcohol. And I am not going to incriminate anybody because I know one of the people listens to this. Hi, I know who you know. You know who you are, and I know who you are. I've had to pick up this person and other people multiple times drunk on the ground from the Neon Cactus. And I got a call being like, Russell, get me. And as a really
you picked up Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Yeah, it was really cool. I got an autograph. It was awesome. But I had to pick people up because the Neon Cactus is like a siren from like the Iliad. Or is it the Odyssey? No, it's the Iliad. It is the Odyssey. The Iliad is Troy.
One of Homer's writings.
Yeah, well, whatever one has the sirens, the Iliad or the Odyssey, I think it's the Odyssey. Because the Iliad is the movie Troy. So, from the Odyssey, you know the sirens, they're appealing, you love it, but when you get there, you die. The Neon Cactus is that. And I'm sure whoever listening, you know of the same kind of bar, where you're like, you know what, that sounds like a lot of fun. This is going to be great, but every time you go, it's a disaster. And there is no positive part about it, and you forget everything that happened. You wake up the next morning covered in like your own blood and vomit, and then you're like, why did I do that? And then your friend's like, yo, dude, you want to go out tonight? And you're like, yeah. So that is the Neon Cactus. And that's another grievance I have with Purdue. It is a thing, like if you had friends come in or something, you're like, you got to go see this. Like, even if you don't go in, you just have to see the line, because people wait like 3 hours beforehand.
Yeah, I think a lot of that has to do with I guess one of the major things I do know about the Cactus is the Piano Man.
Oh God. Okay. Here's what I'm going to say about that. I'm not about to get political with any of you. I'm not. You can believe whatever you want to believe. The Piano Man's name is Bruce. I've never gone into there, but he does wear a Make America Great Again hat. If that is your thing, that's awesome. If you're at a college bar, how about you don't fucking wear your stupid ass Make America Great Again hat and look at a college girl boobs? How about you fucking don't do that, you weird, creepy old man? Okay, now that I get off that off my chest, let's continue. So yeah, that's the Piano Man, and he does shitty renditions of songs, and he thinks he is the Piano Man. He is not. He is a weird old guy, a weird bald old man who will do shitty renditions of certain songs that only he knows how to play, and everyone drunk is like, dude, this is amazing. It's not amazing. And you always get 100 of them on Snapchat, and you're like, I don't care about any of this.
Yeah, go to a proper piano bar, which I don't think there's any around here.
I know one here near me. I know there's a piano bar near me, but everyone doesn't go because of the same reason.
Oh. I've been to one before down in Austin, Texas.
I'm sure that would be cool.
Pete's Dueling Piano Bar. And that place was the shit. Like, those dudes were incredibly talented, and yeah, they were very good pianists, and it was a good time.
They dueled each other? Like,
they
actually?
did.
That's super cool.
Yeah, two actual pianists on. Sometimes, like, most of the times they would play their own song, and then, like, the next person would go. Sometimes they would actually, like, collaborate on the same song.
Nice.
And this was all mostly off of people just tipping and putting something in the suggestion jar.
Oh, cool. What is your opinion of karaoke bars? Purdue does not have one, but what is your opinion of a karaoke bar?
I think they can either be like a good time if people, just go in knowing that it's just going to be stupid and, let's fuck around, be bad singers and whatnot. Or it can be insufferable because there's always some jackasses that are like, this is serious. Karaoke's a serious thing.
Yeah. If you take karaoke seriously, that's awesome. Karaoke is a really big deal in East Asia, like in Japan, in Korea, in like Thailand, in like Vietnam. Karaoke is different than it is here, but it's like a big deal. It's a big thing. And if that is you, that's super cool. I want to go to a traditional like Asian karaoke place because they do like private rooms and you do karaoke just with your friends. American karaoke is a joke. And if you go in not thinking it's a joke, you are an asshole. Because I've never done karaoke. I've been to karaoke bars. I've never had enough personal and liquid courage to get up and sing a song that I know half of the lyrics to in a public setting. So, yeah, that is my thing on karaoke. And I think Ben has paused. Ben, are you paused?
Nope, I'm still here.
Oh, you're paused on my thing. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I was sitting so still. I should be a hunter.
Ben, can you see my face?
Yes, I can.
Your stance like this is like this. This is how you're frozen. That's bad radio. But I just gave him the Robert De Niro face. That's what Ben's face is on here.
Yeah, it might be because I'm at the same time I've got the Broncos game on, like, streaming through Amazon Prime, and also I'm on my FaceTime here, so that might be something.
Ben, why are you a Denver Broncos fan?
When I started watching football back in 97 and 98, when many of you might have been like still twinkles in your father's eyes, like John Elway and the Broncos won their back-to-back Super Bowls, and I was like 10 and 11 years old, and so I was just like, man, this is a great team. Let's stick with these dudes, and I just stuck with them. And I can also say that one of my best friends at the time, he has roots back in like Colorado as well, and he was kind of influential on me being a Broncos fan too.
Nice. I was just wondering. I thought you were going to say because the Colts suck. I mean, I'm not a really big football person. For any of you out there who couldn't guess, I work for Big Ten Network. I know enough about sports to work for a sporting network, and that's about it. Even though I did play sports very competitively, I swam and I sailed. most of you probably don't know how sailing works, and you watch swimming once every 4 years when Michael Phelps is doing it. So there, yeah.
I don't even do that.
No,
I mean,
I know.
I don't knock the swimmers or the sport of swimming. It just, I have zero interest in it.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm gonna be honest. As someone who swam for like 11 years, it is the most boring sport to watch. My parents are saints for coming to all of my swim meets because I can only imagine how bored they were. And regattas are even worse because at least at a pool, you're close to the swimmers, right? At a regatta, you're out in the ocean. They aren't seeing shit. So, yeah. Thanks, Mom and Dad. I know you're
sitting
listening.
on the beach. They're just sitting on the beach, like hoping, like, oh, I hope Russell's doing good.
Yeah, and the best thing about regattas is you said the word beach, implying that it might be warm. Most of regattas I had were like 40 degrees and 80 miles an hour of wind. No one is warm and happy. Thank you, Mom and Dad, for always coming to all of my stuff. You guys are the best. For real. But yeah. So, Ben, let's talk the thing about Purdue that is probably the most important thing about school, the school part of school.
Okay. Yeah, what do you have in mind?
The good, the bad, the ugly.
Okay. So, I have a bit of a unique point of view on Purdue. I guess because I am a prior college student. Like, I went to Ball State for 4 years and then, went off to do the Air Force thing and then came back. So my point of view of school can be very different, I would assume, than most people that are fresh, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed out of high school or have been in for a few years. But anyway, I enjoy the academic part of it. I haven't had a bad experience with any professors or curriculums or just the overall academic atmosphere of Purdue. I enjoy. I think it's pretty good, at least from a liberal arts, film and theater production major.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's my take on the academics part. What about you?
So I agree with what you said at the beginning. So I transferred to Purdue. I didn't do the Air Force in between, but I did go to a different school that I don't know if I've ever named here, but I went to a different school before I went to Purdue. I don't name it because I hated it. It's not like it was a bad school, it just wasn't right for me. So I went there for 2 years and then went to Purdue for 3 years. So I did the 5-year track. What up? So I grew up going to Purdue games my whole life because my uncle is athletic director. So I grew up going to school, and I knew Purdue's campus before I started there because I'd been to so many games. I'd walked around campus. I knew where Beering was. I knew where Armstrong Hall was. I knew where the Stewart Center or Elliott Hall of Music were. I knew that. But when I went to classes, I don't want to sound like I'm bashing anything. Maybe I was very lucky in my college experience, but either my classes were easy or they were weed out classes in the sense that they wanted you to fail the class. So they would have less people in that major or less people moving on, even if it was an elective. So I never had anything in the middle where it was like, oh, this is a good challenge. Either the class was, I hate to use the term blow off, but I learned things. But the class was like, write this paper, do this. And maybe it's because I like writing papers and stuff. But I had classes that were just kind of fun, easy, enjoyable, or the class was a nightmare. There's no in the middle for me, and that's kind of, I guess, a complaint I had, where there's never a, wow, this class is an interesting challenge that I'm stoked about. They're always like, oh god, this is just sort of a pain in the ass, or I'm going to get an F. So yeah.
That is interesting. I think I've had a few challenging courses that I did enjoy. So I believe I've had those middle ground classes that you're referring to that you didn't have.
Mm-hmm.
But again, no two students are going to have the exact same track and classes taken. So, you may have missed the few that I felt like were enjoyable, but also a good challenge, kept my brain busy.
Mm-hmm.
But I have definitely had those blow off ones where it's just all right, let's push these kids through. Let's get them their A's and move on.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that in the sense that like the professors weren't good and the class wasn't interesting. It was just the class was very, here's what you need to do to get an A. This is the class. Let's do this. Let's be a team. But they weren't, like, they were challenging in the sense that they're a college level course, but it wasn't, you know, like when you think of a college level course in the grand scheme of society, you think of a certain thing. Mm-hmm. I never had that. Maybe in a few of my film classes a little bit, but I never had that whole thing where, and I know that's such a vague way to say this for the podcast, but I never had that kind of college class where it was like this interesting challenge. It was either like an easy-ish thing. I know that makes me sound like I'm bragging, and I'm 100% not, because I'm definitely not the world's best student. Anybody can tell you that one. Ben's had classes with me, and he can tell you that. But even the class that one of the classes Ben and I had, which was Jewish cinema, which I learned a lot in. Very interesting class. Ben, would you say it was kind of a blow-off?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing you really had to do was like an occasional reading.
Yeah.
And the professor would give us like a quiz to kind of see whether we did do the reading or not.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, you show up, you go see a movie once a week, and that's it. Yeah,
and then there's a big project at the end, and a lot of my classes were like that, and I retain a lot of that knowledge from those different courses where I learned a lot. And I'm not saying I didn't get an education, but it was a lot of that. There wasn't ever, besides a few film things, there wasn't anything that were a constant difficulty. Like if you're comparing it to a video game, they were all video games with, they're pretty easy, then there's a boss fight. Pretty easy, boss fight, pretty easy, boss fight. There's nothing that was like this consistent challenge all the way through. Or they were the video game where you press start and you instantly die. That's kind of like the two ends of the spectrum I had, which was like Mario, easy boss fight, easy boss fight. There weren't any games that were like The Last of Us, which is a pretty consistent challenge all the way through. And I know that's a weird comparison.
But I thought it was a good. I thought The Last of Us was an excellent challenge, though.
Yeah.
But yeah, I haven't faced any Dark Souls classes yet, where I walk in the class and someone immediately destroys me.
Oh, I had one. I took Italian at Purdue. Yes. If any of you want to ask me, do I know any Italian? No, I don't. I retain none of it. And I, full disclosure, failed one of the Italian classes, so I dropped it and I was able to substitute it out. But that was what I was talking about. It was like Italian 102, and the guy comes into the class, he's like, ciao, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, excuse me? Yeah. I think I'm in the wrong building.
I feel like for language, unless you're really like majoring or minoring in a foreign language, like we're all just trying to get by.
Yeah.
Like I fully do not expect to retain any German that I take like through the 4 semesters that I'm going to be taking it. Like I'm on my 3rd right now. As soon as I finish that and get my passing grade, it's just going to be like, all right, well, never going to learn that again. Like I fulfilled the requirement.
I took German in high school. That's fun. Danke. Bitte.
Bitte.
Yeah. What else? It's like, mein Namen ist Russell. Is that right? This was also a while ago.
You could say that, or you could be like, ich heiße.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
My name is.
For those of you who don't know, German is conjugated exactly like English. So it is, you take an English sentence and you just substitute the words out. So, except numbers. Numbers in German are hard.
There are some wild sentence structures, though, once you start getting into like past tense with like subordinating conjunctions and that kind of things. Like that's where the verbs and subjects start to go crazy. Like you put your verbs at the end of the sentence.
Yeah, you are right. And that and the 3 different versions of the word the.
Yeah.
And then some of them are random and you're like, oh, I guess this is a male version of the, and this doesn't follow the pattern at all. So that's German in a nutshell. If any of you are native German speakers, thank you. And I'm sorry that your language is so difficult for me. But I've heard English is one of the most difficult languages to learn because all of the nuance. So I am sorry. I didn't invent the language.
It's a minor miracle that anybody like learns language or learns English, like whether you're a native born or like well, no, I don't want to use native born because that would maybe put a connotation of like Native American. But if you were born in America or England, like it's like how do we even learn this wild ass language that we speak?
Because for those of you listening who might have a different first language or second language, you know that English makes no sense. Like 80% of the time. All the rules have been broken on every single sentence, and probably sentences that like we're saying right now. Also, Ben, here's what I'm going to say. Like when they say there's like, this is an adverb or this is an adjective, this is like a pronoun. I know what adjective, adverb, and pronouns are, but when they like subordinating clause, stuff like that, in grade school and high school when they tell you need to know that, I have never needed to know that in my entire life. And you said the term subordinating clause, and that's the first time I've heard that since sophomore year of high school. I don't know what that means, and that makes
the only reason that has come out of my mouth is because like we've learned that like in the past week in my German class. Otherwise, if someone would have said that to me, I would have started drooling. Yeah,
there's that, and those terms, and what else? It's like, when you don't have a subject. And verb, what is it? Subject, verb. There's a term.
Direct object.
No, there's like subject, verb, like matchup, or like they don't work well together. If you're using different tenses, or like they don't play well. People out there know what I'm talking about. I sound real dumb right now. I am sorry, but this just proves that I am a native English speaker who knows nothing about the language.
It's 10 o'clock at night. Like, don't expect us to be grammar wizards.
Yeah, oh my god. Wait, Ben, have you seen the show Big Mouth?
I have.
Oh my god. You know what? That just reminded me. We're going to talk about that.
The Shame Wizard.
The Shame Wizard, yeah. The Shame Wizard was my entire high school experience. For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, it is a show on Netflix. So if you have Netflix, do it. And if you don't have Netflix, just use one of your friends' Netflix. Everyone does it. If you want my Netflix password, DM me. I'm totally kidding, though. Do not. I'm not going to give out my Netflix password to anybody. But it is a show about puberty and about Nick Kroll, the comedian actor, and his friend Andrew Goldberg, who is voiced by John Mulaney in the show, going through puberty and their kids. And they have a hormone monster, or hormone monsters and monstresses for the female characters, and the show is completely insane, and it might be the funniest animated show I have ever seen.
If it's on a short list of like the shows that have made me like double over in laughter.
Yeah, there are a few lines in The Simpsons that have made me like stop the like TV or pause my phone or pause the computer and made me laugh. I'm not a big Family Guy fan. I'm sorry for all of you out there. There's some really funny sketches out there that like the little cutaways I find hilarious. But in general, I'm not a huge fan. Actually, Andrew Goldberg, from the guy in Big Mouth, is actually one of the writers on and one of the producers for Family Guy. So
okay.
Yeah. So you can see a little bit of that humor come through. But Big Mouth has made me laugh so consistently, it's ridiculous. There's a line in season 1 where the hormone monster, Maurice, is looking over the shoulder of Andrew and Nick, and he watches Jay, who's played by Jason Mantzoukas, who's a hilarious actor, go up to Jesse, and the hormone monster says, "Dickarus has flown too close to the sun." And I don't know why, but it made me start laughing so hard, because that's a really nerdy joke for a specific kind of awkward person.
Yeah, I can't recommend that show enough. Just fair warning to people that might get like a little bit uncomfortable around very vulgar and sexual ideas. This is not the show for you. Like, this is one of the dirtiest shows I've ever seen. Oh yeah, and they show it is a cartoon, but they do show human genitalia on adults and kids, but they do it in a way that isn't sexual. They do it in like a body positivity way. Yes. Especially in season 2, there's a scene
or a musical number. Each episode has a musical number as well. There's a musical number at a Korean bathhouse with a bunch of women. It is a very body positive show. And it's really, really cool and uplifting. But if you don't like to see cartoon nudity in a non-sexual way, it is not the show for you.
Yeah. And I will say another, like, it's one of the most honest shows about growing up, like, hitting puberty and just being an awkward, disgusting little person.
Okay, let's do this. Ben, do you have any awkward puberty stories? Because I have a few.
Other than just, like, the occasional not wanting to stand up in class because of the public boner.
Yup.
Like, that's just, other than that, I don't have any, like, super embarrassing ones. I think I kept my shit under wraps pretty good.
I was pretty good. If I was anyone in the show, I think everyone who's ever met me will say that I'm Andrew. I've always been tall. But if I was Andrew, my parents are Nick's parents. So if you've seen the show, I am Andrew, but my parents are Nick's parents. Mom, Dad, I love you. But my parents have made some very, very personal comments about their own lives together as husband and wife that I'm like, ew, gross, no, I didn't need to hear that. But also, that's just my mom and dad. They're just very honest people. But I was Andrew. I'm quite tall. I went through puberty very aggressively. Puberty hit me like a train full of baseball bats. And I was a kid who was able to have a little peach fuzz mustache when I was in like 7th grade. My voice kind of started dropping when I was young. And I think for all boys and all girls, you notice when one kid in your class starts getting hair before other kids. Mm-hmm. I was that kid. Also, I was never that athletic. I was good at swimming, good at sailing, but I was like Andrew, where I was kind of paunchy and tall and awkward, and I wore glasses. There's pictures of me that if there was a video format, I actually will show Ben a picture of me. This is really bad radio, but I want to show Ben and illustrate the point that I was Andrew. So
I will say that my connection is not up to the point where I can actually see you right now.
Oh, I will just text it to you, Ben.
Okay.
This will come through, and you'll get Ben's honest reaction, which I think is the best way to do this. So let me copy this, and I will send. This is from my freshman year of high school, so it's, I guess, a year, because these kids are like in 7th or 8th grade. This is when I was a freshman, so I was like 14, and these kids are like 13, so this is a thing, and Ben is about to get this honest picture of me. To give you guys a frame of reference, it is me when I won an award in high school for being the biggest loser. I'm kind of kidding, but I am Andrew.
Oh my god.
Am I right?
You are.
Yeah.
It's uncanny.
Yeah, it's the same haircut, the same glasses. It's everything, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I have to take pause. My son just woke up. I will be back in like 2 minutes.
Okay, yeah. So, through the power of editing and magic, we're back. Ben, I hope your son is okay.
Yeah, he just took a little harmless tumble out of his bed. I think he was more like, oh shit, what, I'm awake now. What is going on?
I even do that too.
He wasn't hurt or anything.
Okay, good. I do that all the time as well. In the middle of the night, I'll wake up and I'm like, what year is it? Where am I? But yeah, I feel like if I started crying and stuff, people would be like, dude, what is wrong? Like, go back to bed. I don't get the luxury of having someone be like, are you okay? My parents would be like, dude, what the hell is happening? There would be no sympathy. Yeah. But yeah, so going back on that Andrew thing, am I right?
Yes. It's, oh my goodness.
Yeah. So that's the thing of the show. And then there's hormone monsters. And Ben, how would you describe the hormone monsters?
Almost like you can imagine every horny, like, disgusting thought you've ever had in your life just basically morphed into a anthropomorphic being that can talk and influences you to do or to act on those horny, disgusting things.
Yeah, and the hormone monster for the guy, Maurice, he looks like a methed out version of where one of the wild things is.
Yes.
And then Connie is played by Maya Rudolph, and she's Emma. That character is Emma in every sense. That character is what Emma is, and you would think like Emma is one of the human characters. No, that is Emma to the core. Like, she means well, but she'll like knock down a building to get what she wants, kind of thing. It's just a force of nature type character, and that's how I would say Emma is, in the nicest way possible. Emma, I know you're listening, and that was a compliment.
I was gonna say, like, she can't even defend herself, and you're calling her this.
Emma would probably be like, "You're damn right I am." So that would be the Emma comment for that. But the show is pretty incredible, and like you were saying, it is very honest. I think that's the best word. It is just honest. It is very real, and it's really funny, but there's some really heavy topics they deal with. They deal with, like, alcoholic parents, being the forgotten child, almost like abusive parents, divorce, like, all of these things they deal with in a very, very interesting and palatable way. Like, the show doesn't get depressing like BoJack Horseman does. Even though the show does deal with depression, they do it in such a clever way where you can understand this show, but you understand like what they're getting at, but you also understand it from a comedic sense as well. Like, how do you turn something like a kid coming in his pants at a school dance? How do you turn that into something that's really funny, but also affects the character throughout the course of these 2 seasons? Or a kid who hasn't gone through puberty yet and might be a little depressed about it, and how do you turn that into a comedic like device?
Even like heavy topics like cyberbullying, especially this second season, they took that, gave it the comedic spin, but also like displayed the harm, like the true harm that cyberbullying can do. Yeah, and I think as the show goes on, I'm really curious to see where that goes. And it deals with sexuality as well, really well, and the shame that goes along with that. With one of the characters is openly gay, and there's, in the same episode that they do cyberbullying, he feels isolated because he doesn't have some of the same experiences as these other kids do. And it's really interesting that it deals with abusive relationships when you're a child, with the character who's like, Becky's mine. Whatever her name is, that character. Like, oh my god, Becky. That very good.
Yeah. Whatever, the Lola.
Lola, yes.
Yeah, it deals with Lola, and it's that character. That's Nick Kroll's voice, but that character, I knew someone in grade school who was that, like, to a T. I'm not going to say her name on here. I could say her first name. Her first name, I'm sorry if you're listening. I hope you're a good person. And maybe you're never going to hear this. Pray to God. Her name was Kelsey. I sent a picture of that character to a friend that we both have. And I'm like, hey, is this person? Not in a mean-spirited way, but I'm like, hey, am I wrong about this? And I'm like, oh my God, you're so right. And then he commented back, he's like, if she's that, you're Andrew. And I'm like, shit. But, so there's that. But the hormone monster thing, I think they're going to build on that, because they go to the hormone monster world. And I like how they're like, oh, Maurice has a whole life. And
yeah. And I really enjoyed the new, like, hormone monster in training.
Oh, Tyler?
Tyler, oh my God.
Tyler as a character is every boy in high school.
Yeah, just like inappropriate and like not even contextually correct, like dick jokes.
Yeah, it is so good. And guys, if you've seen Big Mouth, I hope you understand. If you don't, you should see it. I think there's a character that I hated in season 1, but became one of my favorite characters in season 2. Well, they're kind of connected. Steve and Rick, his hormone monster, the old hormone monster.
Coach Steve.
Yeah.
I love Coach Steve. His song his song in
the I Want to Have Sex with a Lady.
So good. So good.
There's one of my gym teachers in high school. His name is Coach Marcoolin. He is the best guy ever, but he is Coach Steve. Where we're like, we aren't sure if you're homeless or anything, but he like talked about his cat and all this other weird stuff. And he was like from Croatia, and he was like on the Croatian Olympic team. Like he actually was, but like I don't know what happened between Croatian Olympic team and Brother Rice coach. But something happened in that span where we're like, Coach Marcoolin, what is going on? And we asked other teachers about Coach Marcoolin. They're like, yeah, we have no idea what's going on either. This dude, he's the sweetest guy ever. He would give you the coat off his back. He'd probably drive you home from school. But, like, he was like that. He's like, I cannot read. And, like, he's like, technically, I live in a storage unit kind of thing. But I was going to crack out my impression of Rick from the show. Let's see if I can do it. Ben, you have to keep talking so I can think about doing this. Okay, you just have to say something.
One of the things that I was disappointed with season 2 was the lack of Jordan Peele's
Duke Ellington.
Duke Ellington, yes. He was really absent this season.
Yeah, he was. But Jordan Peele does the voice of a bunch of different people, so he was still in the show a lot, but that Duke Ellington character wasn't. Actually, a really funny line from the first episode of the show is Nick's dad is they're like talking at dinner, and Andrew's over, and he's like, the ghost of Duke Ellington lives in this house. And he's like, Duke Ellington, an amazing African-American. And it's just the funniest line of like how to like put that. I'm like, that is hilarious. But let me do this. I already did my Lola, which is, what is the other friend's name? It's not Becky.
The one that Lola's like obsessed with?
Yeah.
Devin.
Oh yeah. Devin's mine. Like if you even get close to her, I will cut you kind of thing. Like, Andrew, we rubbed fronts. Yeah. I should probably crack out some of my impressions on this episode, but I'll do the Rick one. 1 second. You're the man, Steve. Like, that's how the whole thing goes. It's like, and then the Coach Steve is like, I don't even know how to do that voice, because it's Nick Kroll's voice.
Right.
Because Nick Kroll does Maurice, the hormone monster, but the hormone monster does sound like Will Arnett. That impression sounds like Will Arnett, kind of.
It does, yeah.
He does that. He does Coach Steve. He does Rick. He does Lola. And he does like 2 or 3 more.
The little butterfly that shows up. It's like, I'm back, motherfucker.
It's like, what is my lifespan? It is unclear. That he does the badminton.
Oh my god, the bad.
It's like, let's go smoke cigarettes in front of children, because I'm a bad motherfucking mitten. It's like the stuff that they do, because there's like, you know, on Family Guy, the dog talks, so there's kind of a supernaturally element. Big Mouth takes it and runs with it, and it is very supernatural.
Yeah, it gets absurd.
The Shame Wizard is Professor Lupin from Harry Potter.
Yes.
And I didn't realize that. I had to look up who that was. I thought it was David Tennant. Doing the voice.
I had to IMDb it too, because I'm like, I've heard this voice before.
Me too. I'm like, it's not David Tennant, but it could be David Tennant. But it's the guy who was Professor Lupin. He was the bad guy in Wonder Woman. Spoiler alert. But okay. So I'll do it. I'll do an impression. So we have a special guest on the show, and it's Christopher Walken. So Russell, thanks for having me on the show. You've waited 49 episodes to have me, and I'm kind of sad that you didn't bring me on earlier. And I know there's not a whole lot of monetary kickback from this, but you know, it's still good to be on. I'm going to be a recurring character on the show, so stick around for more See What Sticks. Back to you. Thank you, Christopher. That was incredible.
Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our run of See What Sticks. The show has been canceled.
Yeah, the FCC has personally emailed me, and they told me to take all of this offline, and there's a cease and desist. Wait, what other impressions can I do? I can do Bill Clinton as well. Don't ask me to do a conversation between Bill Clinton and Christopher Walken, because people have, and I've been forced to do it. And never tell people that you can do impressions as your fun fact for like a icebreaker, because people ask you to do them. I used to be able to do Kermit the Frog, but then I went through puberty. But I'll do Bill Clinton. Hey Ben, I really like Big Mouth. It brought me back. It brought me back to a time where I could think about things and not always be harassed. It was a simpler time back then. It was a real good time. I went on Arsenio Hall and played saxophone. I also told kids I like French fries. Thank you, Bill. Did he go on Arsenio? Is that what he went on?
Yeah.
Okay, thank God. If I got that reference wrong, it would have destroyed that whole bit. I can also do Obama, but I don't want to do Obama. Obama's a hard one to do. I can do that. I can do Morgan Freeman, but my Morgan Freeman one is still a work in progress, and I can do Louis Armstrong. Louis Armstrong is probably... let me see if I can do it. I don't have water up here with me, and I need water to do Louis Armstrong because it makes you cough. Let me see. I've seen... Wait, I'm going to try it. I've seen fields of green, red roses too. Like that. So that's a work in progress one, but that is like one of my dumb fun facts. I can do some impressions. My Arnold, I can do like full paragraphs. It's like... So, let me do. You have to start off with like a word. So it's like, my name is Arnold. When you do an Arnold impression, you don't just scream, ah. You have to have the vocal mannerisms of Arnold Schwarzenegger. You know, as governor, it was really important for me to get California on the right track. And now I go on Instagram a lot and tell people to vote. It is important. Okay, back to you. Okay. And I can do Donald Trump, and I'm not doing that. This is not happening on this podcast because I'm going to say some real offensive shit.
How did we get from
Purdue to me doing bad impressions?
Big Mouth to these wretched impressions.
You know what? It is my favorite thing. I think I'm going to start doing openers as different characters to introduce the show from now on. As the third co-host, when Emma's not on, it'll be like Christopher Walken as the third co-host of the show. And you know what? That might get us a lot of views featuring Christopher Walken.
A lot of pissed off people.
They're like, what? They got Christopher Walken? Like, oh, it's just this asshole doing an impression. What? What's the Morgan Freeman one is really, really hard. I did it really well once, and there's a Snapchat video of me I have on my phone of me doing. I'm sitting on my couch downstairs, and I think it was at like a family party, and it's like I was doing the March of the Penguins thing where I was like, the Penguins are walking, like doing the whole thing. I like had it, but I had to keep drinking like water, like between every 4 words, because you have to like take your voice and like you have to like swallow like that. You have to swallow into your Adam's apple.
Yeah, you have to get like real croaky with your voice.
Yeah, like Alan Rickman. You like to do Alan Rickman, it's the same thing, but it's not as far down your throat. Like Morgan Freeman, you have to swallow your own words, and it's so hard, especially as a white guy in my mid-20s and not being a African-American guy in his 70s?
It has to be 70s.
Yeah, I don't know. That's crazy. Damn, Morgan, you're a legend. Even though, allegedly, you cheated on your wife or something. But you're still a legend. Who knows? That one's that's still out on the books. We don't know that one yet. And if it is true, you're not a legend anymore because you're a real piece of garbage for doing bad stuff to women. I was able to do a Kevin Spacey impression, but I can't do it anymore for obvious reasons. But I had a really good one. Like, I was able to do a whole line from House of Cards with it, and it was good. Ben, can you do any impressions?
Probably not any that are any good. And also, like, I feel like I would have to raise my voice to properly project and get like the right tone. And my kids are like just down the hallway, so I don't want to like wake them up and then think like, who the fuck is in our house?
Yeah, I can everyone can do Mickey Mouse like, oh, that was real annoying. I think everyone can do Mickey Mouse. You just have to raise your voice 6 octaves. But yeah, that was me doing impressions. I had to crack those out on one of them. Emma asked me if I could do impressions on an episode, and I was like, no, I'm not doing impressions on this. But now I'm just like, you know what, whatever. I'll say whatever the fuck I want on this show because I used to care, and now I'm like, I'm going to do this because it makes more fun for me and Ben and when Emma's on. Ben, I'm going to tell you on this show right here, because this is ASMR now, I'm going to tell you that for the See What Sticks, I'm going to set up a Instagram for it. Like, I know my Instagram right now is called See What Sticks, but I'm going to make a dedicated page, and I'm going to give you the password to it so you can upload your own pictures. Okay. And so I'm going to, same with the Twitter, I'm going to text you. Emma already has it. She never goes on the Twitter page. And I said the Twitter like an old person, but Emma never does Twitter just because she's not into it. I don't love Twitter either, but I'm going to give you the passwords for all of them so you can upload stuff to it as well as a co-host. I know this is weird radio, but for those of you who listen and do follow through Twitter and Instagram, this is why I'm saying it on the air so that you know if like there's other posts coming out. They aren't just from me, they're from Ben and Emma as well, so that you get more consistent posts and ones with a little different point of view, because See What Sticks isn't just me, it's all of us. Even you out there, listener, you're part of the family. But I mean, you are part of the family, but it is mostly me, Ben, and Emma. I'm sorry, I have to be like that. But I will be doing that. So for those of you who do follow in that capacity, know that this will be happening. And I said I was going to do a website on episode 20. It's episode 49. I still have not gotten around to do the website. Ben, what do you want to do for our 1-year anniversary of See What Sticks, which will be episode 52?
Probably need to do like a retrospective. Maybe do like an honest kind of like, what has worked so far? What hasn't worked?
What has stuck?
What has stuck?
Oh, I think, yeah, that'd be good.
What do you feel like you've succeeded, or do we feel like we've succeeded?
Yeah, like
what we've set out to do. So far.
Like what milestones have we hit? What haven't we hit? I actually think that's a really good one. I was thinking, hey, if anyone out there listening is an audio editor, like professionally, hit me up. I will pay you to do a episode where you just do like a gag. Jesus Christ. I will pay you if you want to do a gag reel episode where you just take the funniest things from each episode and turn them into like a 20-minute piece, or it's just us saying stupid shit for 30 minutes, like one of those like blooper reels. If anyone out there has the time and ability to do that, seriously, message me. I will pay you to do that. So, Ben, I'll pay you to do that.
Shit, I don't have the time.
No one has the time to listen to probably upwards of 60 hours of material to find maybe 20 minutes of gems. But yeah, any closing notes on Purdue University?
Oh man, I guess I'll just wrap up my my opinions of Purdue. I've grown up like in the Lafayette area all my life, so like yeah, I'm familiar with. I've been familiar with Purdue University for quite some time. I love the campus. Mm-hmm. I'm happy to be a student there. I'm grateful to be a student there. Yeah, I'm looking forward to my next, however much longer I have, and I will be a proud Boilermaker alumni for piece the rest of my life or whatever. So boiler the fuck up.
Yeah, I think I agree with a lot of what you said there. I didn't grow up in West Lafayette my whole life, but I grew up going to football games, like almost all the home games every year as a kid, and going into high school and even in college. So there's a special spot in my heart for Purdue, and it hasn't hit that I graduated yet. And I still think, like, oh, one day I'll be a Boilermaker. Oh, wait. And when I watch the football games, I'm older than all of these people. Jesus H. Christ. So I love Purdue. I mean, every school has its issues, but if you are someone looking to go to college right now, or looking, if you have like a kid or a brother or sister or someone looking to go to school, I would recommend Purdue. It's a great place, a lot of cool people, and I do recommend it if you like winter and rural areas. But it is fun. There's a lot of frats, so if you're that kind of guy, join a frat. If you're like me and you're not cool enough, don't join one. But yeah, I think that's a really good way to sum it up, Ben. And do what you want to do. Go to college if you want to. Don't do it if you don't want to. We're not here to tell you to do that. And you're the man, Steve. Yeah, I'm working on it more. I just have it playing over in my head. But yeah, that's our episode about Purdue and somehow Big Mouth. But yeah,
however it got there.
Yeah, that's how these episodes go. When I have very loose notes instead of very like written out notes, it just goes into wherever we want it to. But yeah, thank you so much for listening, Ben. Oh wait, I'm Russell. If you want to contact the show, you know how to do it. It's always in the description. Ben, you can do the sign off.
Thank you, everyone, as always, for tuning in with us this week. We'll see you next week. This has been See What Sticks, a podcast about everything and nothing. Be safe, everyone, and have a good night.
Ben, you fucking stuck the landing. Bye.